Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay Kyte and I am the Associate Editor of Lions Roar magazine, and today we are talking to Ethan Nichtern. Ethan is a senior teacher in the Shambhala tradition and he's talking to us from New York, and his new book has just been published called The Dharma of the Princess Bride, and he's here to tell us a little bit about it. Hi Ethan.
Hi, Lindsay. Great to be here with you, and great to be with Lions Roar.
This is a story, this is a movie you've come back to in many different seasons of your life, whether your heart was full and joyful or whether your heart was broken. And you say this is because it offers, many things, but it offers the Dharma of friendship, the Dharma of family, and the Dharma of romance. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
My wanting to write this book as a Buddhist teacher was actually wanting to find a way to talk about relationships. I didn't want to get dogmatic in this arena that many of us interested in meditation practice for Buddhism really struggle with, which is personal relationships. So bringing in this pop culture narrative, this sort of deconstructed, playful, but poignant fairy tale, and bringing in moments from my own life, it really seemed like I could connect with friendship, romance, and family, and each of those themes is very strong in The Princess Bride. So The Princess Bride is not exactly a Buddhist movie, although I think in a lot of ways it really fits as a beautiful beautiful soundtrack or beautiful kind of pop culture background for a modern Buddhist practitioner trying to lovingly figure out relationships.
Can you talk about the friendships within The Princess Bride and how they play out?
You have this really interesting dynamic in the fairy tale aspect of The Princess Bride of these kind of friends thrown together, sort of oddly, this odd couple that turns into an odd trio. You have Mandy Patinkin's Inigo Montoya, who's on a quest for revenge, and you have his best friend and sort of protector, Fezzik, Andre the Giant's goofy poet, brute squad guy, and then they're joined by Wesley, who and they're all on kind of a different quest, and they're all coming from a different place. And the thing that I think is so interesting about The Princess Bride is it could be a superhero narrative in terms of the dread pirate Roberts going to save his beloved Buttercup. But he has to rely on these two new friends who are incredibly wacky and incredibly awkward. I love the heroic awkwardness of all the characters. And he actually has to save her while he's completely paralyzed. So that's the other thing I think is beautiful, is it actually is it's a hero narrative that kind of undercuts the solitary or the libertarian hero narratives that dominate a lot of Western society. It's about friends relying on each other in their own heroic awkwardness. A lot of our, in Western society, superhero myths or cowboy stories have to do with that quality of aloneness. And obviously, for a meditator, learning to be alone with yourself is a huge practice, and it can be a really difficult practice. But one of the things that I think is that I explore in that first section of the book on friendship is that it's so important to note that Buddhist teachings are every bit as much about a supportive environment and supportive relationships.
How do the bad guys in The Princess Bride represent the three principal poisons?
Vizzini, Wallace Shawn's Sicilian, which is interesting that Wally Shawn plays a Sicilian, who is just this person who fancies himself a genius, and anything that happens that's outside of the realm of his knowledge, he famously says, is inconceivable. And he gets caught in a very beautiful dualistic game that the dread pirate Roberts Wesley catches him in. So I think he really well represents and really hilariously represents ignorance. Christopher Guest, Count Rugen, he's just a torturer. He takes pleasure in harming others. So I think he represents the poison of hatred. And then Prince Humperdinck, who friends have referred to as Prince Trumperdinck, he represents greed. He's vain. He's just trying to take over more territory. He's trying to start a war to take over another country. His ego is hugely inflamed. It's actually his vanity that causes his downfall. So I think he represents greed or desirous attachment pretty beautifully. So, the thing that I talk about, obviously, this is all playful, but it's actually really helpful, I think, in our narratives and our way of looking at the bad guys in the world out there, as well as our own inner afflictions, to have comedic examples of those afflictions, that we can actually look at Vizzini and say, look at this person who pretends to know everything and really knows nothing. And that can be a kind of humorous way to label our own moments of assumed knowledge or misperception.